and now I'm getting a proper drenching. Hey up and welcome back to another bike review out of Appleyard Motorcycles in Keighley. If you haven't been up to Appleyards, get yourself up here or down here. Fantastic dealership, great, friendly, knowledgeable staff, and you're assured of a first-class service here at Appleyard Motorcycles in Keighley. Right, today I'm going to be taking out a cracking bike here, this here Voge 525 DSX. And this bike causing a lot of interest out and about, not least because you would not believe what you get for your money with this here bike. An incredible suite of electronics and extras which come as standard. So let's jump aboard this here Voge 525 DSX and see what it's all about. Right, so here we are then with the new Voge 525 DSX, or DSX 525, or DS 525X, whatever. Midweight adventure bike, and cutting a very smart, purposeful adventure bike-like figure there. Resplendent in that blue and silver colourway with the gold spoked wheels. Do you like your gold wheels? And what you get for standard on this bike is pretty much beyond belief. And obviously it will go through the spec on the walk around, but first impressions from a stylistic point of view is it looks like a lot of thought has gone into the design of this here bike. So let's climb aboard the old Voge and get some miles under my belt, and then I shall come back to you further down the road with some observations. Yes, the Voge DS 525X. Off we go. Right then, so out and about on the Voge DS 525X, and predictably it started to chuck it down, so that my apologies. I'll try and give you a wipe every now and again. First observations, supremely comfortable. A supremely comfortable ride. Suspension's excellent. Seats nice and comfortable. The handling spot on. And the combination of the KYB suspension, the setup of this bike overall, and the Metzler Torrance tyres make for a very engaging riding experience indeed. 47 brake horsepower is not going to win any races, but let me tell you, this is a very tractable engine in the mid-range. So lower down in the RPM, the torque is very usable indeed. Pulls like a train in 4th and 5th. And yeah, you get so much as standard for your money with this bike. All the things that you would want to add to most other makes of adventure bike, for example, if to buy the base model. So much of what you would have to spend a considerable amount of money extra to do that is actually included as standard on this bike. That's what I love about a lot of these Chinese bikes, particularly the CF Motos. and the Voges, is that I'll just give you a little wipe, is that you get so much for standard. So the spotlights, the crash bars, the pannier mounting rails, the rear rack, handguards, all of those things come in as standard, so you don't have to worry about fitting them afterwards. And that's a great thing. And in terms of the electronics, well, I suppose the only things this bike does not have is cruise control and a quick shifter. But for £6,200, hey, but you get switchable ABS and traction control, 2 riding modes, would you believe a forward-facing video camera? Oh yes, a forward-facing video camera. Interoperability with your smartphone, tubeless spoked rims. I mean, crikey, tyre pressure monitoring. Both in terms of the electronics suite and the fixtures and fittings on the bike that come as standard, I can't think of another bike that gives you all of this in a standard package at just over £6,000. I can't think of one. Plenty of usable power. Right, what's going on here? 30 mile an hour in a 60. Yeah, the handling is absolutely superb. Comfort levels are superb, and the power delivery is more than enough for a bike of this nature. I would make one observation, and that is the brakes, although they are perfectly adequate, and I'm thinking about the front brake here primarily, there's not a lot of feedback through the lever. You don't get too much of a sense of what's going on between the brakes, the wheel and the road, like you can with some bikes. But the braking is perfectly strong, perfectly adequate. It's just that you don't quite get that connection with the road. But that's a very, very small point indeed. Surprising amount of poke for 47 brake horsepower. Surprising amount of poke. And even on these now quite wet roads and the poor condition of the road surface, the bike is handling absolutely spot on. Helped in no small part, I would suggest, by a combination of the KYB suspension and the Metzeler tyres. Doing a really good job on what would otherwise be quite sketchy roads. Of course, this is a real world riding review. Sometimes you just have to do them in the pissing rain. this is how it's been all spring and summer. Hey, Lordy, things I do for you lot. Look at this. Hey, torrential. A decent amount of weather protection from the front end of this bike. Screen's doing quite a good job. The girth of the bodywork's doing quite a good job. But my supposedly waterproof trousers, I can tell you, are not waterproof, and I can now feel the dreaded water ingress into a certain part of the anatomy where it always seems to get us blokes. And it's bathing my pickles. Oh, I'm not liking that. Right, so here we are then, the Voge DS 525X, looking very smart there in that blue and silver colour scheme with the gold rims. So let's have a look around this here bike and talk some numbers. So up front there we have a 19-inch spoked tubeless rim sporting excellent quality Metzler Torrance tyres. We have two 298mm pedal style discs sporting radially mounted 4-pot Nissin calipers. The suspension up front there, 43mm KYB inverted forks with 160mm of travel. And them there forks, would you believe, adjustable for compression, damping and rebound. So top quality front end suspension then on this bike. Up front there we've got a very mean modern looking setup there with LED lights and indicators. Looks a little bit mean that. We've got an adjustable screen, a manually adjustable screen. We've got, as standard, as you can see there, LED spotlights, great to see that. And also as standard we have crash bars and crash bungs there, all part and parcel of the package. Coming round to this engine, this is a 496cc double overhead cam 8-valve liquid cooled parallel twin engine. The engine is made by Lonsin, as is the rest of the bike. Voge marque's been around for about 6 years, but Lonsin actually make the engines for the BMW F-Series. So how's about that then for reputational impact? same company making engines for BMW. So yeah, this power plant here, this puts out 47 brake horsepower and 32 foot-pound of torque. More than adequate in the real world of riding. It's not got a 270-degree crank or anything like that, so it's quite a smooth and refined engine for a parallel twin. But some people like that, of course. Also, we're getting a standard there, a centre stand. Back wheel there, we've got a 17-inch rim, again spoked tubeless, sporting the Metzeler Torrens tyre there, and the 240mm single disc and single cylinder, single pot Nissan caliper there. The rear suspension is adjustable for preload, and again that's a KYB single coil. Sitting inside there, the double-sided swing arm, chain drive of course. Fairly standard OEM exhaust there with a little bit of carbon fibre type trim going on. Nice to see a standard on this bike, the luggage racks, so you're ready to rock and roll once you buy the luggage, and likewise a top rack as standard there with grab handles. Seat height on this bike 810mm. Tank capacity 18 litres, so at a claim 60 miles per gallon, the bike should be good for a range of 2 to 250 miles on that there 18 litre tank. Coming up the front, handguards as standard, a fairly standard layout of the controls on the left-hand handlebar there. This bike does have 2 riding modes, and it also has switchable traction control and switchable ABS. So a very comprehensive electronics package there. The only thing it doesn't really have is cruise control. We have an adjustable 4-span clutch lever, adjustable for span brake lever, and again on the right-hand side there we see the mode selection switch and the ABS deselection switch, and over here we have the spotlight control. So yeah, up front also we've got a standard 12-volt socket, and we have the USB socket, so plenty of connectivity for your gadgets up front. So let's fire up the old TFT and see what we get. And there, as you can see, a very smart full colour 7-inch TFT. On the left hand side we've got fuel gauge, in the middle tyre pressure. This bike has got TPMS, tyre pressure monitoring, external temperature, gear position indicator, digital readout of speed in the centre, linear readout of RPM at the top. Bottom right we have engine temperature, above that the trip meter, and there the indication of what particular mode you are in, and the usual peripheral warning lights that you would expect. So a very smart, nice, glossy, premium looking TFT there. As I said, on this bike, 810mm seat height, so let's have a look at me seated upon this here bike. Right then, so I am 6'1" tall, 32 to 33 inch inseam, around about 83 kilos in weight. Seat height 810mm, and as you can see I'm easily flat-footed on this bike while still maintaining a bend at the knee. So yeah, very, very comfortable riding position indeed. This would make a brilliant touring machine, particularly with the luggage on. The actual riding position itself is a little bit sporty, an acute angle at the knee, but not uncomfortably so. So yeah, a really, really good long distance touring proposition, this bike for sure. Either 1 up or 2 up, not going to be a problem, all day comfortable. And yeah, to have this number of features as standard on a bike that comes in at £6,200, £6,200 for a brand new midweight adventure bike, which comes as standard with crash bars, top quality Metzeler Torrens tyres, tubeless spoked wheels. TFT with riding mode, switchable traction control and ABS, built-in pannier frames, centre stand, built-in spotlights, you name it, all as standard. Quite remarkable at £6,200. So if you're in the market for a mid-range adventure bike and that's where your budget is, you should really seriously give this bike a try. I mean, its most obvious competitor is a Honda NX500. That in its basic form comes in at about £600 more than this bike. But were you to buy an NX500 spec'd up the way this bike is spec'd up, you'd probably be paying another 1,500 quid. So this bike is a couple of £1,000 cheaper, measure for measure, than the Honda NX500. And I suppose we must always address the elephant in the room at this point, the fact that this bike is Chinese made, and that is an issue for some people. It's absolutely not an issue for me. Chinese bikes are here to stay, like it or not. They're stealing a march on the European and UK market in a very similar vein to that which took place in the 1960s and 70s at the hands of Japanese-made motorcycles. These Chinese-made bikes now seem to be following a very, very similar trajectory indeed to what the Japanese bikes did all those decades ago. And they're just getting better and better. Every aspect of this bike that I can see speaks to good quality material, good quality parts. I mean, when your suspension's made by KYB, your tyres are Metzler, then I don't think you're going to go far wrong. And as I say, a manufacturer that is trusted enough to have made engines for BMWs for some time now. So an awful lot going for it, this Voge DS 525X. Voge, if you want to know, the word Voge in English, it means, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, excellent or impressive. And I wouldn't disagree with that when it comes to this bike at all. 2-year warranty with this bike, and I just think for what you get for that price point, it represents absolutely outstanding value for money. So get yourself to Appleyards. This is their demonstrator of the Voge DS 525X. Take the bike out, see what you think if you're in the market for a bike of this type and size, and I think you'll be really impressed, and it'll be very, very kind on your wallet compared with a lot of other options which, let's face it, could cost you twice as much. So yeah, I like it. I'd be happy to have it. The only thing it doesn't have is cruise control. And that's, I suppose, the only negative, but blimey, what are you expecting for just over £6,000? But I could live with that. I can't really think of a negative off the top of my head, and I feel that I should be looking for one. I will say that although the brakes are very, very good, very effective, they don't offer a great deal of feedback. But again, that's something I could live with. But in terms of braking power, absolutely up there. Fantastically comfortable ride, really comfortable, great suspension, great handling, lovely sweet gearbox. What's not to like? Get yourself to Appleyards. Take this demo out, I think you'll be impressed. Right, I hope that was of some interest to you. The Voge DS 525X, cracking mid-weight adventure bike, stacks and stacks and stacks of standard features for your money. Highly recommended. Get yourself to Appleyards, take out this demonstrator, you won't regret it. Okay, if that was of some interest to you, please click a like, please click subscribe, and until the next time, and in the meantime, ride safe, be kind, and always remember, I'll see thee